Top Story has become the most competitive, entertaining show on television. A team of 3 from 25 universities, driven by the need to produce the top story. They will tackle stories in different parts of Kenya, stories that will change their lives. The winners of Top Story Season 3 will have a 1-week sponsored study tour to Al Jazeera in Qatar.
Welcome to the Top Story.
A few months ago, Top Story graced our screens. 13 universities from across the country joined Top Story Season 1, with Kenya Methodist University emerging top. They won a trip to Rwanda, with the highlight being a treat from the highest office in the land of 1,000 hills.
Some people would always find room to do wrong things. But
Human beings.
yes, absolutely. But at least what we tried to institute is to make sure that nobody does it with impunity.
A conversation that resonates with Kenya's affairs and an opportunity for photos to remind them of these moments just in case they forget.
I'm President Kagame and you're watching Top Story.
After Rwanda, Season 2 of Top Story was underway.
The winner, the one going to London for Top Story, it is...
Hang on a minute. Before we get to the winners of Top Story Season 2, let's see how we got here.
I'm excited to be here in this competition. Maybe I'm expecting to gain some skills.
Hello and welcome to Top Story Season 2. You'll be trained, you'll be tested, and you might probably cry. We will be quite tough on you.
These are mainly final year students, so they are basically journalists in the waiting.
Top Story are actually train the contestants on how to verify news, on how to gather news online, and basically how to break and ethical practices when gathering news.
My task is really to give them the nuts and bolts of what to expect when they leave the classroom and venture into the field of journalism.
Why do you need these skills right now as a journalist? You're getting to a place where there's a lot more pressure on the journalist. The journalist has to be a cameraman. The journalist has to be a sound man. The journalist has to be the reporter, writer, script person, the person doing the piece to camera. The journalist has to be the video editor.
The master classes were fine, were very, very good and informative. We had a chance to interact with very prominent and people who are very experienced in the field.
Jifunza mengi kweli, hapo ukitoka hapa sitakuwa mimi salilio kama kawaida.
It's always very interesting seeing these young people, young journalists venturing out into the world. And I think at the end of it, what it comes down to is who's going to deliver a readable story. They do have a good understanding of the basics. Theory is always very different from the practical. The challenge of the competition is a very practical process, and some people seem to go at it much better than others.
Welcome. We have received your story.
Read more, research more, give me data, give me context.
Top Story Season 2 contestants learned from the best and practically experienced the trade. For some, it was all smiles.
Otherwise, congratulations. And I'm really happy that you've won, especially because you almost gave up.
While for others, it was the end of the road.
We have killed your story.
The Top Story Academy was not all about work. The contestants' timetable included some fun moments. After the fun, everyone got back to the business at hand.
Naivasha is enjoying the benefits of donkey meat, which is exported overseas. The trade is booming, but donkeys are scarce.
In the recent past, donkeys have been disappearing in Naivasha, Nakuru County. It was up to Egerton and more universities to uncover why.
I thought I knew, but now I don't.
We've done our research.
We've done our research, and my team is clear of what we want to do.
We take measures, written measures. From the written measures, we release them to the holding ground.
This is a holding ground.
This is a holding ground. Yeah.
What happens after waiting, wait and measure? Do you have any medical checkups about the animal?
Yeah, there is somebody in charge, vet, a government representative who normally checks the health of the animals. Yeah.
So we are doing gem business. This one is from Naivasha.
Surprisingly, the meat is not the interesting part. It's the skin, and we are shocked. It's used for medicinal purposes.
Do you sell donkeys? You said yes. That's live donkeys. Live donkeys. It's like when ukiguzia t-shirt, whether you want it to be a duster, you have your own problem.
How much do you sell 1 kg of meat to the Chinese farm?
You see, now the person who had come with for the meat, it is 200 shillings per kg.
While the other universities were looking into the mystery of the missing donkeys, Daystar and Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology were experiencing the Kenyan matatu culture with VIP status in Ongata. A huge number of Kenyans own electronic devices, but what happens when the shelf life of these devices ends? Talking to doctors, visiting an e-waste center, and finally interacting with the residents of Ngara, where most of the waste is disposed, Kenya Institute of Mass Communication and Multimedia University sought to find out the impact of e-waste on human health. These were some of the stories by the different universities for a spot in the semi-finals. As the competition progressed, the tasks became more intense.
Africa On Air decided to send us an email with instructions entailing the competition, the level of the competition. We were told that we are supposed to come and find someone, high-profile persons to interview.
This part of the competition is challenging. We're meeting Ambassador Amina Mohammed, a very interesting profile, an irresistible one for that fact.
There's a lot of info, especially on the negative stories about the CEO. We wanted to, one, confirm most of those stories, ask from a personal point, so that at least we know from him what is the right information.
We'll go direct. We're not going to beat around the bush. We're just going to attack until he comes.
You've received love and hate in equal measure. How have you handled that personally?
I'm used to bashing. I've been in public life for almost 22 years right now. I've been covered positively and negatively.
You know, in all interviews, you want to meet someone who can talk, someone who is willing to share. We are scared if this person is not going to be open enough, then it's going to be like a block on us.
I hope a person like you, Innocent, I would have an opportunity to coach and mentor you. You continue to enjoy the age of 23 when you have a mind and a brain of a 50-year-old man.
I think the person who interviewed Abbas from our team gauged his emotions depending on the story that Abbas was giving him.
What does your typical work day look like?
Typical day for me, 6:30 in the morning, leave the office around 6 in the afternoon or in the evening. But 24/7, 365, you're on call and you can be called anytime, anywhere.
Our main element in our interview was having a conversation with this partner as opposed to just going through the questions that we had.
Every experience I've gone through has allowed me to go to the next level. It has allowed me to grow. It has allowed me to know that, things are not rosy all the time.
All of our expectations in coming to meet Dr. Chandari have been met above and beyond. We expected kindness, but what he's given us is hospitality. He was so warm, so welcoming. So it's just more than we could even have dreamt of.
Wardrobe yangu iko 4 suits. 1, 2, 3, 4. 3 jackets. Bas.
And it was nice to hear what the interviewees thought about them.
I think the questions were straightforward. I think I gave as honest as I could what I needed to give.
The insights in the questions, they seem to have really thought of which questions would bring out from the brief of what they wanted to achieve. I think they were spot on.
I think it's wonderful, wonderful that young people are given this opportunity to express themselves and to show what they're made of. And we need to educate more young Kenyans to partake in this. I hope we can increase the frequency of this so that it becomes an annual event.
The salad of a journalist must have both the oil of freedom and the vinegar of responsibility, both of which must be applied in due portions, failing which disastrous consequences will follow. That must be the creed of journalists in Kenya and in the world.
My name is Amina Mohammed.
My name is Abbas Gulet.
I'm Dr. James Mwangi.
And you're watching
Top Story.
After making it through to the finals, the 4 universities had one more task that would determine the winner of Top Story Season 2.
Kwangu ili maji imwagike kwa tap ni kitu 5 years back.
Una plan kukata maji wapi na ni lini na utafanya hivyo mkienda na nani? Si hiyo mfereji bado ndio sisi tunatumia.
Zile area niko nazo hapa ni 3. Niko na area ya Ridgeways, Ngome na Garden Estate.
Umoja, Githurai and Omega are just but an example of different places in Nairobi where residents are suffering silently due to lack of water. But the big question remains, will this water problem in Nairobi come to an end anytime soon? And when will these residents' water start being taps of life instead of taps of misery? Ken Jenga for Top Story.
This dam site, commonly referred to as Mukuru, has been active for over 30 years despite a 14-year shelf life. Initially, it was meant to hold 500,000 tons of garbage, but currently holds over 1.8 million.
Mambo ya takataka imejaa hapo. Hiyo sio jukumu letu, ni jukumu la kubwa wetu.
Hata hapo mkikuja sijui kama msikia harufu ni nzuri.
Thousands of people call this place home despite the heaps of garbage piled all over. This menace has grown over time due to poor implementation of solid waste management policy.
A hawker is a person who sells wares from one place to another. Those who you see in CBD are not licensed.
Governor wetu Mheshimiwa Sonko alisema kuna nyumba hii ya KPCU. Alisema hiyo nyumba kuna uwezekano county inunue hiyo nyumba ndio hawkers watose wawekwe hapo.
The county government has a plan to bring them together, register them, okay?
As the saying goes, where there is congestion, there's likely to be business. And as we can see in the Nairobi CBD, the hawkers are making that into good use. The long question is, are these hawkers likely to move out of the CBD, considering that the government has only provided long-term solutions to this? Faith Ikazi for Top Story, Nairobi.
To get such a car, one needs a whole lot of money. But where does this money come from? Everybody is looking for it. The betting industry worldwide is worth over 3 trillion US dollars. The allure of quick cash and instant gratification that is peculiar with the average youth has compounded this issue.
The problem we have is that we have companies who are obsessed with super profits. At the moment, you can't avoid the avenue of amending the law to live up to the expectation of the realities prevailing.
The question that now remains, are we going to let our country drown into this vice, or are we going to do something about it? Reporting for Top Story, I am Stephen Oduor.
After some nerve-wracking fieldwork, the finalists met up with the judges for feedback as they waited for the moment of truth.
The source told us, actually, these guys are so dangerous, so there's no way you're going in with the cameras to record.
It's good for a journalist not to always run after danger, but to not shy away from important stories, even if they might appear dangerous.
I was now about to press the stop button. I had somebody next to me and he was like, "Kwa nini unatu record? Why are you recording us?"
So do you guys think that the angle that we took was okay, or bring out the dilemma?
But I have to understand the structure of your story, what is actually happening, what you're saying first.
This was my first time doing a news story. I've always been into so much of production, graphic design and all that. And I feel like getting lessons from experienced judges like you gives me an opportunity to also learn something new.
As long as you apply some of the things that you learned, then you stand in good stead of really becoming very good journalist. So my congratulations.
But don't forget your basic story structure so that it is clear. You know, the basics of the who, what, when, where, why. Those are the building blocks of a story. And of course, then you have to bring in the human characters, you know, so that the story is relatable.
I feel like we should have given more thought into how we package the story, because all of the shots and all of the information you're saying was missing. We actually had it.
It's the first 3 seconds. If it doesn't grab you, you're going to press forward, yeah, or just skip it.
The winner, the one going to London for Top Story, it is Mount Kenya University.
Congratulations to MKU.
Mount Kenya University won. That was one of my best nights. On the stage, we were all cool after we pronounced the winners. It was all good. But I remember that night, I cried a lot. I spent almost an hour, but because I remember the moment, you know, the struggles, the sleepless nights, you know, the research. Then that night, it was all over.
The competition was stiff. Trust you me, we didn't know we were going to win Top Story. You can imagine amongst all 20 universities and imagine the first. Trust you me, we didn't know we were going to win this thing.
That night, when I took an Uber to JKA, when I met Akina Ken, Akina Rube, those moments I don't think any money can buy.
We're looking forward to learning a lot and, of course, having fun.
Yeah.
Yes. Yo, BBC, here we come, man.
We're coming.
Actually, we forgot to big up our teacher there, man.
Yeah. He's the OG.
The OG.
The OG.
Yeah, man. TMKU?
Yeah,
let's do this. Let's do this.
Yeah.
London, here we come, man.
We're coming.
When we landed at Heathrow, that was the moment we were waiting for.
From the civic sights of London to a visit to the largest African Caribbean-owned radio network in the UK, the Top Story winners got an opportunity to share their views with millions of colorful radio listeners.
Hey, nakwambia sasa now when we got that opportunity ya ku present, hey, karibu nianze hata mimi kutoeng bana. Felt so good knowing that now the whole world is listening to you.
I've always wished for that day that I'll be in the radio, and then I say my name. My name is Ken Jenga. bring a boy, or rather, if you want, you can call me Jen Wonder.
After Colourful Radio, the next stop was the Al Jazeera Bureau in London.
When this channel was launched in 2006, there was a different vision. They were running 12 hours a day from Doha, and they had 2 other broadcast centers.
The trip to London, visiting Al Jazeera, and meeting with Gizbat, the investigative journalist who used to do stories in the war zones. Just him talking to us, telling us how he does stories, and even how he quit. And then I asked him, is it that you fear death so much that you decided to quit? And he said, it is his son who made him quit. So talking to him was a highlight. And him telling us, if you're not ready to partake in investigative journalism, then don't.
Hey, sasa wacha nikushow. Si tulienda Wembley, now the stadium.
I've never seen a stadium so big, so beautiful and so magnificent. Despite playing basketball all my life, going to Wembley Stadium, it changed everything. At that point I felt that nishakuwa Pogba, kidogo nishakuwa Ronaldo, nishakuwa Beckham, kiplani.
The field is so huge, and I was like, will we ever be here, we as Kenyans?
The day that the principal told us that we are going to BBC, I personally waited for that.
After we went to the BBC, I almost shed tears after I saw the screens working, connecting the whole continent into one. I was like, so this is real?
So they came tops.
They came.
Tell me they're the best in Kenya. That's the first headline.
Oh, no, they're there. So.
Hungary. Is that right thing to say? Yeah. So Josephat is one of the top teachers. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And may you go on to bigger things. He's talking like a Ghanaian. You have to talk nicely.
You guys, I envy you. This guy, he was one of my mentors. Oh. Tap as much as you can from him. Sasa.
I used to view journalism in a very different way, but after my trip to London, to the UK, it changed my perception about even the way we do stories. Like, for example, I did a story. I don't know if you know this. The one who came up with the Magriti Makeki story.
In Top Story, you don't lose. You either win or learn, because your life changes forever. And forever is in capital letters.
I wish you all the very best. Na wenye watashinda jo, msisahau
mtupeleke na ring. And I hope this time principal ameweka after party pale.
Party after party. Lazima nitakuja jo.
To happen kama sisi tucheze.
Party after party after party after party. All the best.
All the best, Mazai.
I want to wish you all the very best in Top Story Season 3.
It was an amazing season, and the journey continues on Top Story Season 3. On the next episode of Top Story.
I'm really conflicted in my heart because I don't like breaking people's hearts. But,
So not bad, but I didn't get a sense of why they would want to be on Top Story, so...
They're very tight. They're very, very tight. That's a tight team.